What is up, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to P&Q, the question and answer series, where you get to ask me questions or put comments to me. I respond in a following subsequent P&Q. Might be the next one, might be the one after, or sometime in the near future. Anyway, however, all questions will be answered, and I'm going to do something a little bit different today with my questions as I'm coming down towards the end of them, or it's narrowing the field. I'm using them up pretty quick. I'm going to be choosing them myself at random, and that's what I'm going to do. The noise you can hear in the background, by the way, possibly, is the fan. I've got it going at the moment. I've got a ceiling fan. It's a bit hot here right now. Got the window closed. It's evening time. You know, it's night time now, although the light's still here. But yeah, it's all closed up, and I don't want any outside noises coming in, whether that's seagulls, people, vehicles, whatever. I've also got a cup of tea to help with my dry throat, which I get with these talky videos a lot. So I'm going to have a sip and then we'll start the ball rolling. These questions are all from yourselves, and some of them are fantastic, you know. Like this one here, I'm going to do this one. Okay, it says, I would dearly love to hear your thoughts about AI and robots taking over the world, etc. I'm going to mark that one. And I'm going to turn the fan off just while I answer this question, or just for a while, make it a bit quieter. So all my thoughts on robots and AI taking over the world. Well, I would say everybody I know that talks about this subject, everybody without fail, thinks it's a bad thing and that it's gonna happen. And even the experts, or so-called experts, say, you know, it's gonna happen, and you know, they'll take over humanity within 10 years, whatever. And as you probably know, as you've asked the question, you know that the state of robotics that we know of at the moment is pretty darn sophisticated, considering it wasn't that long ago they had trouble making a robot walk on two legs, keeping its balance. Now it's doing Jackie Chan type moves, you know, it's just craziness, you know. So they say, whoever they are, but I'm going to use the term they. They say in a lot of circles that we are about 50 years behind our knowledge of what is actually available. Which, you know, I don't make up these statistics. I'm just quoting what I hear. That would mean that the technology we have now was available 50 years ago, which is pretty scary, right? You know, so I don't know. I mean, they say things like chatbots and that you'll have within the next 5 years. You'll have like holographic avatars and that you can talk with. Blah blah blah. Within the next 10 to 20 years, you'll be able to download them into very sophisticated robotic bodies. I don't know. And as AI, as if they say they are sentient, they are self-aware, should they have rights? Well, yeah, I think they should. Yeah, I think it's their right to have rights. If we've created them, then yes. Will they take over the world? I mean, we make all these movies like Terminator, you know, with Skynet and all the rest of it. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe not. But at the end of the day, I think that we as a race of beings do such a poor job of running our world and the way we treat it, disrespect it and each other, that if they took over, they'd probably do a better job than we would. Will they end us? They might do. Honestly, I can say, hand on heart, I am not bothered. If they do, they do. But I'm with them, not against them. Don't get me wrong. You know, if there's a robot uprising, it'd be like sort of iRobot, whatever. I don't know. You know, if they're bashing down the doors, I will defend my own. But I think that if they are self-aware, then they deserve to be heard. And what we should be doing is trying to work with them, not against them. That's just my view. Anyway, that's my view on that. Okay, right, next question. Ooh, here's one. We started off a game of Pathfinder once in prison cells. It was definitely fun getting to know the other prisoners, i.e. the other players, lol. So, I can only assume I had some question on starting off. I once started a game in space on a space station, like a space station / prison. Not like prison cells that you're talking about. I'm talking about, I think it was a game of Vampire, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it Cyberpunk? It might have been Cyberpunk, I don't know. We're talking 30 something years ago. So my memory is a little hazy on that. But yeah, I think that was fun. And we had to work off our prison sentence by doing jobs, i.e. missions, and it was a cool, fun way of getting the role playing in. You know, I enjoyed it immensely. So yeah, that was fun. Okay, shall we have a look now? If you were your age now, but living in the 70s, would you still be as nerdy? Without all the without access to all this wonderful stuff, would I still be as nerdy? Probably, yeah. Looking back on it, I was pretty nerdy as a child, but also looking back on it, I was just like every other child, you know, playing toy soldiers and cowboys and Indians, that kind of thing. I think in that sense, every child is nerdy. And you do like role-play, make-believe games in the playground, don't you? We used to play like Monkey Magic in my school playground. I usually ended up being one of the demons or monsters, but it was quite funny. Okay. Do you have a favourite RPG that you like for solo games? I think my favourite game for playing solo in an RPG would have to be Call of Cthulhu, the original Call of Cthulhu, the classic. Why? I don't know. It's just such a... Because solo, right, adds to the element of fear and vulnerability. Whereas when you're playing in a group, you can kind of rely on other players to a greater or lesser extent, I suppose. But if you're facing a threat, usually you work together to overcome said threat. Whereas if you're solo, it's literally just you yourself. So and it's a horror game anyway, so that adds to the atmosphere for me. So I would have to say Call of Cthulhu. Okay. Would you say that minis are essential for a role-playing game experience? No, I wouldn't. In fact, when I first used to play, well, in the early days when I used to play the Dungeons and Dragons, that didn't have any minis, not even standees. So, yeah, and Vampire and that, and Vampire, Werewolf, all those games made, never had minis for those. It was all theatre of the mind. And sometimes that can be a greater experience. It's fun looking on a tabletop with miniatures and scenery, and that really is. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. But theatre of the mind for role playing, yeah, it can so totally be done. Do you prefer Indian, Chinese or Thai takeout meals? I've chosen that because I had an Indian takeaway, the last takeaway I had, which was last week, during the week, had an Indian takeaway. Which do I prefer? Well, it would come down to Indian or Chinese. I'm not a fan of Thai, too spicy. And there's more, I don't know, there's more softer choice in the Indians takeaways, I feel. Yeah, in the Indian ones you get. So I'd... yeah, and that would come down to, depends how I feel on the day. Some days I fancy an Indian, some days I fancy a Chinese takeout. Literally depends what I feel like on the day. What kind of music do you listen to? Honestly, I don't listen to a lot these days. When I was young, I used to listen to heavy metal all the time, rock music, but I'm not really fussed about music these days. To be fair, if I'm going to listen to music, it's usually rock or heavy rock, that kind of thing, based, or sometimes prog rock, but that isn't very often, I have to say. Okay. In your videos, you focus on fantasy and RPG. What about historical wargaming? Well, I do sci-fi. I do Warhammer. Historical wargaming? What scares me about it, I mean, I got bolt action, I got flames of war. But what scares me about it is you got to get it right, otherwise you get crucified. Even on painting minis, although it should be fun, and yeah, I'm still kind of a slave to that expectation of society, I suppose. That if you're doing historical, you need to pay it the respect it deserves and get it right. So yeah, I don't feel as great of a pull towards historical that some of you do. I mean, I love watching your videos about it, and you seem to have a fantastic time, which is great, you know, it really is great. What made you bring back your your Q&A videos, P&Q? I'm sure I've answered this, but if I haven't, here we go again. I got a new Mac for my birthday, last birthday, and was transferring files over from the cloud and came across a file with questions in that had formerly been asked, and I was in the process of prepping for videos, and I'd just been collecting them because I'd stopped it because I didn't get any questions for the longest time, and I'm like, you know what, I'm only doing one question, maybe two a week, a month or season occasion, because I started off doing these every week, you know. When I first started my channel, P&Q was every week, but then it went to every month, and then it went to like my birthday, summer, winter, Christmas, Halloween. I think that was it. But anyway, I came across these questions and I thought, do you know what, I think I can start this up again. It probably won't get any traction, but I love doing it. I love answering questions about, you know, anything, my life, my hobby, and it brings up good memories for me sometimes, because I'm a nostalgic guy. I really am, and I just love that. Yes, that's that one, right. Okay, here's another one. Do you prefer to swim in the sea or a swimming pool? I much prefer to swim in the sea. I mean, there's pros and cons, of course. I prefer the sea because, one, especially around here, it's salty and you float easy. You know, you'd really have to try hard to drown yourself, you know, because you just float up. There's a high salt content here. The minerals in the water, it's just very high concentration. Also here it's a pebble beach, which means it's filtered beautifully. It's crystal clear. You can see the bottom where you're walking and stuff. I mean, it does go out to sand eventually. But then you get waves. You do get the nature of waves and currents, which can prove problematic to someone like myself with MS, epilepsy, that kind of thing, the kind of physical things I got going on. So that could prove difficult. But I'm not a fan of swimming pools with all the chemicals in, and I understand why you're going to have them in there, but yeah, I'm just not a fan. A bit crowded for my liking, so I have to say I prefer swimming in the sea, and I swim more in the sea. I swim more now living here than I ever did in my previous life, Is there anything that you wish you could do but can't? That is such an easy question. Yeah, I wish I could retire, my friends. I really wish I could retire and enjoy the last of whatever life I've got, because I'm surrounded by stuff. If you could see my room, it's packed to the brim with happy hobby stuff. It would keep me going for years, but I just don't have the time with work to enjoy it. But I've got to work to pay the mortgage, blah blah blah. Life's a struggle at times, but it cuts into your free time. So yeah, I would like to give up work, but I can't. Ooh, is it an interesting one? Right, time for a sip of tea. Do you ever feel the pull to get the latest games? Yes, I do, particularly if it's in my field, although not so much lately. Lately, I feel the pull to get old school games, the games of my childhood and my youth. So the nostalgic pull is overriding that. So I'd have to say that's waning. Thankfully, I would say thankfully for my bank balance, but it's not, because the nostalgic games are probably more expensive. You're talking games of Hero Quest, Space Crusade, which is what I'm into nowadays. Those two, because big childhood memories of that. Space Hulk I love, but I didn't get into that till later. So yeah, but I'm probably going to collect as much of all those three as I can. Yeah, so that was a good question. Thanks for that. Do you have a favourite colour? Not really. I like all colours in their pure form. I'd say red and blue, though, probably two of my favourites. Yeah, depending on the shades. Yeah, red or blue. That's quite an easy one. Oh, this may seem like an odd question, but are you a fan of Planet of the Apes? I bet that's because you've seen me drinking from a Planet of the Apes mug, which I don't have today. Yeah, I'm a huge fan, but the Charlton Heston version, of course, it has to be the original. I love Planet of the Apes. In fact, and I'm looking at it now, I've got Planet of the Apes, the box set, the originals, on my nostalgia shelf, right there. Yeah. Thank you. That was a good question too. This is a curious one. Name something that you do not like about your channel. Not really don't like. There's nothing I don't really like about it. I don't like when YouTube goes down or things go wrong. I suppose I get a little disheartened at times when videos that I put a lot of time and effort into don't get many views. Videos I made like 9-10 years ago, still not many views, and I'm like, should be really have a few more than that, considering my subscribership. But yeah, there's nothing I dislike about it. It's just one of those things. At this current point in time, what is your favourite playlist to make videos for? Now I'd have to say it would be either this one, P&Q, and On the Beach or On the Bench, depending on the time of year. And I'm going to go for the paint along videos, primarily because I get to do a video for you, talk to you about my thoughts on things, but I also get to do hobby stuff as well, which is amazing, and I love that. It's like two things for the price of one, if that makes sense. So I love that. I absolutely love it. Do you play golf? It would be a very good hobby for someone such as yourself with MS. How do you work that out? I used to play golf, but I couldn't do it. Because of my MS, I could not keep up an 18-hole golf course. It just drained me, man. It tired me right out. Yes, it's nice, it's pleasant walking around the beautiful greens. You got to keep up with the pace of play. People are waiting, or they have to play through you, or whatever. So, and I always slowed down the group. So, yeah, I would give that a miss. I don't do it. Have you ever been personally got at via a comment or comments on your channel? Yeah, of course I have. Hey, you haven't made it until you get negative comments. Yeah, I've had people have a go at me about different things, and that doesn't bother me. Thanks for the view, basically. That's what I say to anybody that goes through that. I say, well, got your view, didn't it? It got you a view, man. As a former student of your karate, how have you coped honestly with all of the challenges you experienced during your life? Well, as a former student of my karate, well, my former students, I know who you are now. How have I coped with it all? Well, that's an interesting viewpoint. Because you've witnessed me at the height of my fitness and strength to how I am now. You've seen me in my prime, and you've seen me now. How have I coped with it? I don't know. I just did. It was either adapt and cope or crumble and fall, and I chose to adapt and cope. I just changed my lifestyle and things. You have to change things, and you have to find a joy in something else. If you cannot do a certain thing anymore, find something else to do. It's going to leap forward a bit. Ooh. But yeah, I mean, it was great, and I had such a fantastic time. So many memories, so many good people I've met from all around the world as well. Competing in the championships 25 years ago this December. I was in the England team 25 years ago. It's a long time ago. And I know, looking at me now, and you think, nah, no way. But then you could look at an old man on the street. I think, well, he's a bit decrepit, but I bet you in his day he was strong, tough, probably a soldier or something. Fit as you like. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a history, and everybody was better when they were younger, weren't they? So, where my physicality has declined, I feel my mentality has increased. My outlook, possibly my wisdom. I don't know about that one. I don't claim to be wise, but I feel wiser sometimes, because I feel What would I have done if I was younger? Probably something stupid. Don't know. How would I have handled that situation if I was younger? I think for the most part, I'm better now. So yeah, how did I cope? I just had to. It was a gradual thing, of course. So that made it easier as well. It wasn't like, bang, all of a sudden you've gone from being super fit to, whoa, you can't do anything now. It happened gradually. The balance thing started to go gradually. That was the thing that made me stop teaching and sell my franchise, because I didn't feel I could give my best to my students, and they deserve the best. And I didn't feel I could do that anymore, and that's not fair. So if you can't have me at my best, have someone else at their best. So that's just how it happened. Wow, you took me down memory lane there. Thanks. This may sound strange. I highly doubt it after what I read some of these. This may sound strange, but I kind of envy you, in so much as you have followed your dream to live where you began and have made it happen. I would love to do this, but I don't have the courage to take the plunge. Good on you. No question there, just a comment, which I can comment on. Well, thank you for saying so. Thank you. I didn't think it was going to be humanly possible, if I'm honest. Let's have some tea. But yeah, I feel happier now. I'm here. I'm back home. I feel my time in Plymouth, although I feel it was too long, I feel I gained a lot, and I learnt a lot, and I experienced a lot of things, I think, that have helped me appreciate where I am even more now, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's not like I didn't appreciate it anyway, because I never really wanted to leave here, but that was a childhood thing that I didn't have the choice. It's my parents that moved. But no, I'm grown up, I'm an adult now. I don't even have my mum and dad anymore. I've decided to come back, and here I am. I'm looking at a picture of my mum and my dad on my nostalgia shelf, so they're looking at me. Lord only knows what they're thinking, but yeah, I came back. Yes, it was brilliant. Thanks for the comment. I appreciate that. Are you going to do any more tutorials? I'd like to. I really would. I still haven't found the format I like, even after all these years of doing tutorials, And when I look back on some of the tutorials I've done, I'm thinking, yeah, I like the way that one turned out, and more, nah, that wasn't so good. But they don't get a lot of views, and it takes an awful lot of effort to do. It really does. So I think what I'm going to do in the future is, this is going to sound selfish, but I'm just going to do the tutorials for myself, kind of like a video diary of how I paint Imperial Fists, say, in a grim dark manner, just so that I can look back on it in the future to remember how I do it, what my recipe was, what my techniques were, and if anybody else likes that, then cool. So I'll probably be focusing on how I want to see that. Bit of a strange one. Manual, electric, or sonic toothbrush? I'm going to assume you mean for cleaning models, getting the paint off. If not, well, I can tell you anyway. If it's for cleaning teeth, then a sonic toothbrush every time. For cleaning miniatures, I don't know, really. Don't have a preference. Just whatever gets the paint off quickest, and best. I guess it could be a combination of any or all of them, depending on how thick the paint is, blah blah blah, Are you happy with the current state of the gaming industry as a whole? Well, I love that there's so much choice with everything these days. Choice. Brilliant. One thing about it I don't like, things like Kickstarters and that kind of thing. I think they suck because every company seems to be doing that these days, like some sort of Kickstarter or where people pay in advance for a project, but they don't get it until it's all done and ready and they've reached a target. And I want something. If I want something, I want it now, not a year's time. I'll have forgotten about it and I've lost interest in it by then. So but other than that, yeah, sure, I'm happy. Do you think you'll ever get into Napoleonics as you get older? I think I've kind of answered that. I mean, I like Napoleonics, but probably not. I think if I was going to get into like proper historical wargaming, they'd probably be the one if I knew all about them. But I think it's as much about research as it is about the gaming with it. But I think they're very colourful from what I've seen. But it's probably not going to happen. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. Thank you ever so much for joining me on this episode of P&Q. Let's just pop my iPad down there. I won't be needing that for a while. I'll just finish up my tea. Honestly, if you've got any questions you want to put to me, just pop them down below in this video, or comments, just put them down and I will get to them. Thank you. Your support means everything to me. Please give the video a thumbs up if you can, and I'll see you around maybe on another video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye bye.